Now when you get your piston down to where you think it's going to work, and remember, the best way to do it is to file it down or use a Dremel, and then do your filing with an end file over here for your last bit. Because remember, you don't want to take off too much. And the problem with this 120cc cylinder is this big ass bitch exhaust port right there. Okay, you got to have enough side skirt on the front of that piston to cover that completely as the piston is at top dead center. If you don't, then it just won't work. And so the tolerances are very close. One thing I want to point out is this is my new piston. These are piston pins, or gudgeon pins, I think. And you'll notice they're slightly different sizes. Well, all pistons come with their own size of gudgeon pin. You don't want to put one that's too small in here. Too large, it won't work. And these are your 12mm big end or little end bearings. Now I want you to notice something. The one on the left is in good shape. The one on the right, you can see all the little, God, this HD is great. You can see all the burn marks on it. That doesn't look too bad, but what I would suggest that you do, if you're going to put in a new piston, spend the money on a new, go down to the Honda shop or Bike Bandit, buy one of these for $12 plus tax. I don't know what it costs in euros or pesos or French francs or any other bullshit, but I know what it costs in dollars. And then what you want to look at is your pin, and what we can see here is there is some wear on the silver and it's slightly darkened, which means there's been heat applied to it. So if you have one that's too worn, replace that. Your next thing is very important. This, let me see if we can zero in on this. This is what a standard wrist pin looks like on the very edge of it. You see how rough that is all the way around there? Okay, that roughness, what that roughness does is it rubs against these wrist pins. And by hard-earned truth, I have had one of these rub a hole in one of these pins and let go, and it totally destroyed an engine. So what you want to do is you look right here, and it's if it's rough, remember that's going to rotate in this piston. It's going to rotate as it goes up hundreds of times a minute. It rotates, and as it rotates, if it's got any kind of wear on the end of that pin, as you can see right there, any kind of rough edges, those rough edges are going to act like a file and go right through those wrist pins. So what you want to do is you want to get your wrist pin to look like this one. Now what I've done with this second one here is I've taken some 1500 grit sandpaper and just take off the rough spot. Make it nice and smooth on this side, and you can see this side hasn't been done. Okay, that's another tip of the day. So we want to replace the clips and the 12mm bearing if you go to do a rebuild, and the wrist pin if the wrist pin looks bad. The wrist pin will tell you a lot about the bearing and a lot about the piston. If the wrist pin is dark blue right in here, that means you're running way too hot. And you need that. If it's running way too hot, you need to take your wrist pin, leave it there, grab your piston, turn it over, and look very closely at the bottom of that crown, right in there. If you see a lot of blue or dark yellow, then you're running too lean, because it's getting way too hot. And remember, gasoline is used to cool the piston also. So if you don't have enough gas, and if you have too much oil mixture, say you've got 40 to 1. Okay, what if you put in like 80 to 1? You think, whoa, it's going to be great. No, what it does is that you're leaning out the mixture. You're putting in twice as much oil and taking out half as much gas, which it's not designed to do. So now I go over, I take the cylinder off, I put the piston on here, and I may have to do this a dozen, 2 dozen times, and I'll go up and down until it doesn't make any. That's the guts of a 120cc engine. Until it doesn't make any clicking noises on the front here. And then I make sure that it's going to seal all the ports too. So it's a long process, but when you get done, you got a hell of a powerful motor compared to stock. Tip of the day.